But he wouldn't. He was very, he became reticent about the whole situation. And Bob was calling him, and we said, come on, Al's going to be in it, and Bob and you. And he said, yeah, but it's again a gangster thing. We've done it before. He said, no, this is going to be different. But he wouldn't listen, really.
Martin Scorsese is a genius, but he's also a perfectionist with zero tolerance for anything that disrupts his vision. For more than 50 years, he's shaped American cinema, crafting worlds of violence, beauty, and raw humanity from Taxi Driver to The Wolf of Wall Street. His greatest partnerships with Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio are the stuff of legend. But what most people don't know is that Scorsese's brilliance comes with a sharp edge. Not every actor survives his uncompromising standards. Some clashed with him creatively, some pushed too far, others didn't push far enough, and a few made mistakes so big they were quietly shut out of his world forever. As Scorsese once said, cinema is about what's in the frame and what's out. For these 6 actors, what ended up out of the frame was his approval, and the consequences were brutal. Number 1, James Caan. Martin Scorsese has always been a director who insists on control. Every gesture, every breath, every frame must serve his vision. He thrives on precision, not improvisation. And when an actor disrupts that order, tension follows fast. James Caan was one of the few who pushed back. Fresh from The Godfather, he brought a raw, unpredictable energy Scorsese initially thought would fit a project he was developing in the mid-1970s, Italian-American. But from the start, their creative instincts clashed. Caan, famous for trusting his gut, began rewriting lines during early rehearsals. To Scorsese, this wasn't creativity, it was sabotage. Witnesses recalled the arguments as explosive. Scorsese bristled at losing control, while Caan later insisted the director wanted improvisation, but only his kind. Their approaches simply didn't align. Scorsese believed in planned spontaneity, while Caan believed in tearing up the script and rebuilding it moment to moment. Within weeks, the collaboration collapsed. Publicly, it was creative differences. Privately, Scorsese dismissed Caan as impossible. And though both went on to legendary careers, they never tried again. No reunion, no second chance. In the end, their fallout wasn't about ego so much as philosophy. A director who valued structure versus an actor who thrived on chaos. Their brief encounter has since become one of Hollywood's great what-ifs, not for the film they made, but for the one they never did. Number 2. Mark Wahlberg. Among the many clashes in Martin Scorsese's career, his tension with Mark Wahlberg during The Departed, 2006, stands out as one of the most ironic. What began as a reluctant partnership quickly became a creative tug-of-war over how one character should be played. Wahlberg admitted years later that he never wanted the role. "Marty was so excited and I told him, I'm not doing the movie," he recalled, frustrated with the script and convinced he wasn't right for it. Scorsese, however, saw potential. He admired Wahlberg's edge and authenticity, but quickly realized they didn't agree on the character's emotional depth. From the start, the two butted heads. Wahlberg wanted to improvise and lean into his Boston intensity. Scorsese pushed for subtlety. Their arguments spilled into the filming of Dignam's explosive office scenes, Wahlberg ramping up the energy, Scorsese repeatedly telling him to go smaller. Even Wahlberg's refusal to cut his hair for the role while shooting Invincible sparked conflict. His response to Scorsese's concern was famously blunt, "I don't give a fuck." Yet the irony is undeniable. Wahlberg's performance, born from constant friction, earned him his first and only Oscar nomination. Scorsese was reportedly surprised that the actor he struggled most to direct received the film's biggest acting recognition. Still, the strain lingered. When Scorsese cast Shutter Island and The Wolf of Wall Street, Wahlberg's name never came up. The director later remarked to NYU students that some actors give you what audiences want, not what the character needs. A comment many believed was aimed at Wahlberg. Wahlberg acknowledged the tension but kept respect for Scorsese intact, even expressing interest in a departed sequel. But they never reunited. Two Hollywood heavyweights who created lightning together once, then quietly walked in different directions. Today, their clash is remembered not as a feud filled with bitterness, but as a strange paradox, a behind-the-scenes battle that produced one of Wahlberg's greatest performances and ensured it would never happen again. Number 3. Winona Ryder. Martin Scorsese has never been a director who accepts half measures. His films demand emotional precision, layers of hidden intention, and performances that reveal more than the actors themselves may want to expose. When an actor resists that depth, the conflict can be intense, and Winona Ryder learned this during The Age of Innocence, 1993. Ryder was cast as May Welland, the gentle, porcelain-perfect bride whose quiet control shapes the film's emotional core. On the surface, she was ideal, but Scorsese saw May as more cunning than innocent, and that's where their visions diverged. Ryder wanted to play her with empathy and vulnerability. Scorsese wanted calculation beneath the lace. The tension boiled over during key scenes, including the grand engagement party sequence. Scorsese stopped filming for hours, pushing Ryder toward a performance that blended sweetness with subtle dominance. Crew members recalled long, whispered discussions between takes, and Ryder returning with red eyes, only to be asked for another adjustment. The atmosphere grew heavier as filming went on, especially during May's final revelation. Scorsese insisted the moment be played as quiet triumph, not fragility. Ryder ultimately delivered a performance worthy of an Oscar nomination, but the emotional toll was obvious. She kept her distance during promotion, and the two never worked together again. Scorsese later said simply that May required something else, beyond Ryder's natural strengths, while Ryder has hinted at directors who confuse suffering with depth, a comment many believe referred to this experience. Their collaboration created remarkable art, but it left both sides bruised. For Scorsese, Ryder was too empathetic for the ruthlessness he envisioned. For Ryder, Scorsese's demands pushed past intensity into exhaustion, and so, despite the success on screen, their creative partnership ended where it began, with two very different views of who May Welland was meant to be. Number 4. Julia Roberts. Martin Scorsese has always demanded total commitment to his vision. For him, period films aren't just about costumes. They're about inhabiting another era down to the smallest physical detail. Authenticity, even when uncomfortable, is non-negotiable. Julia Roberts entered the 1990s as Hollywood's brightest star, and when she was considered for Countess Ellen Olenska in The Age of Innocence, 1993, it seemed like an inspired match. Scorsese admired her glow on camera, but even in early conversations he sensed a disconnect. Roberts carried a modern energy he wasn't sure he could reshape. The real conflict surfaced during costume tests. Roberts questioned why she needed to rehearse in tight 19th-century corsets, calling the discomfort unnecessary. Scorsese insisted it was essential. Actors needed to feel the era's restrictions to understand its emotional weight. Roberts later hinted at the moment, saying a certain director wanted her to literally not breathe properly to play the role. Their philosophies clashed again when discussing Ellen's cultural background. Scorsese pushed for a distant, restrained interpretation. Roberts gravitated toward openness and vulnerability. The meeting stalled, and soon after, she withdrew from the project entirely. Industry insiders described the fallout as less a feud and more an artistic mismatch. Two approaches to acting that simply couldn't meet in the middle. Scorsese later explained he needed actors who could disappear into another time, while Roberts quietly suggested his demands sacrificed humanity for precision. They never attempted another collaboration. Roberts went on to immense success, and Scorsese completed The Age of Innocence with Michelle Pfeiffer, whose performance aligned more closely with his vision. In the end, their split revealed a simple truth. Scorsese's pursuit of historical exactness and Roberts' instinct for emotional immediacy were never meant to coexist. Number 5. Dustin Hoffman. In the early 1970s, before Martin Scorsese became a filmmaking giant, he had his eye on one of Hollywood's biggest stars, Dustin Hoffman. At the time, Hoffman had just come off The Graduate and Midnight Cowboy, making him the face of restless, disillusioned youth. He was everything Scorsese wanted for the lead role in a dark project he was developing called Taxi Driver. Yes, Scorsese's first choice for Travis Bickle wasn't Robert De Niro, it was Hoffman. But their meeting quickly became Hollywood legend for all the wrong reasons. Hoffman later recounted, almost laughing, that Scorsese approached him without a script and spoke rapidly about the film's tone, themes, and madness. "I thought the guy was crazy," Hoffman admitted. He didn't know Scorsese's work yet, and he didn't trust this intense young director pushing him toward something so raw. For Scorsese, the rejection stung. He believed Hoffman had the talent for the role, but sensed he wanted safety and structure. Two things Taxi Driver could never offer. He wanted safety. "I was asking for danger," Scorsese later said. Hoffman turned the project down, uncomfortable with Travis Bickle's darkness. He instead chose more conventional roles that same year. All the President's Men and Marathon Man, both major hits. Scorsese then turned to Robert De Niro, who delivered one of the greatest performances in cinematic history, complete with the iconic improvised line, "You talking to me?" Hoffman, years later, admitted regretting the decision. Taxi Driver was one of them, he said of the great films he'd turned down. But Scorsese never reconsidered. In his mind, Hoffman simply wasn't a fit. He needed actors willing to jump headfirst into psychological chaos, not ones looking for boundaries. Their careers moved forward, but they never attempted another collaboration. Hoffman has openly acknowledged the missed opportunity, while Scorsese summed up the divide perfectly during an NYU seminar. "Some actors need to be protected. I need actors who can be destroyed and still keep going." It wasn't personal animosity. It was two creative worlds that were never meant to meet. Hoffman's caution versus Scorsese's fearless descent into the abyss. Number 6. Jim Carrey. Martin Scorsese has built his career on control. To him, filmmaking is like conducting an orchestra. Every movement carefully planned, every beat intentional. Actors can improvise, but only inside the framework he creates. Jim Carrey, meanwhile, has always thrived on pure spontaneity. His brilliance comes from unpredictability, from letting instinct take over. Whether in The Truman Show or Man on the Moon, Carrey's process has always been about freedom, not precision. So when their paths crossed in 1999, during early development of Scorsese's Howard Hughes biopic, years before it became The Aviator, a clash was almost guaranteed. Scorsese initially saw promise in Carrey's energy, believing it could capture Hughes's eccentric genius, but he also needed it shaped with exactness. That exactness quickly became the problem. During a character workshop in New York, Carrey arrived with improvisations, voice changes, and ideas for Hughes at different stages of his life. At first it impressed the room, but the more Carrey explored, the more Scorsese pulled back. When the discussion turned to dialogue, the divide became clear. Carrey wanted to experiment. Scorsese wanted every word locked in place. Afterward, Scorsese admitted privately, "Jim's brilliance is real, but it doesn't fit my process." Carrey never spoke negatively about the encounter. Instead, he later said, "Sometimes the greatest gift is a door that remains closed, acknowledging that not every partnership is meant to happen." The project stalled, Carrey moved on, and Scorsese eventually made The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio, an actor who embraced the discipline and control Scorsese required. Their near collaboration remains one of Hollywood's great what-ifs. It wasn't a feud of ego, it was a fundamental mismatch in artistic philosophy. Scorsese needs actors who surrender completely to his world. Cary builds a world of his own. Both men respect each other, but they also understand why they never tried again. Few partnerships in cinema matter more than those between a director and an actor, but in Martin Scorsese's world, those relationships often become intense, creative battlegrounds. The 6 actors who collided with him all shared one thing in common: remarkable talent that simply didn't mesh with his uncompromising vision. Their clashes reveal the core of Scorsese's philosophy, where technical precision must meet total emotional surrender. And in a Hollywood increasingly shaped by formulas and algorithms, these tensions remind us of what real artistic vision demands: not compromise, but conviction so strong it borders on obsession. But what do you think? Which feud surprised you the most, and do you believe Scorsese was right, or did any of these actors get unfairly pushed aside? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep-dive stories about the hidden conflicts and untold truths behind Hollywood's biggest names, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more.